I'm not sure if this represents a new leaf or a change of pace when it comes to cross out, but I will say that thing, beautiful. Makes you feel like Carl Weezer. Either way, welcome back everybody. Today, it looks like we actually have a official developer blog, as well as an update to the announcement here they had a while back. But first things first, the main thing you're all here for, the brand new pots and CKs coming with a brand new season. Now, first things first, we got this legendary Assault Howitzer. Now, this is going to be similar to that of the Kaiju, where it has a 12 energy consumption here, but its perk is that while it is reloading, its durability is greatly increased, so you don't have to worry about it being shot off too much. Not to mention, too, that this weapon itself is absolutely a massive behemoth. My guess is basically the entirety front of your car is going to be taken up by this beautiful boy. And on top of that, too, it's also going to be a limited angle cannon here. So don't think of something like this like the Kaiju where you can just go ahead and spin it around 360. Nah, this is got to be something that you got to commit to. But I'm just imagining this nice legendary Assault Howitzer with an icebox and a couple of reload modules on this bad boy. And this thing can do some serious oomph. Well, that'll definitely be interesting to see how powerful this thing is. Especially if you pair this with an inverter. I want to see how, like, durable this bad boy can be. Not to mention, too, that this little cannon right here is not going to be like a traditional cannon where you can shoot it across the map with fairly high accuracy. This one's going to be slightly different in that it's going to be a howitzer and that it can very short distances. And the bullet itself has a very large drop-off, so you can't really expect to fire this very far or very accurately. However, if you get it close, treat it like a shotgun, and you blow a hole in somebody, chances are you're going to blow off the entire side of their car. Not to mention that they mentioned that this thing is going to have significant impulse. I'm not sure if it's going to be as significant as like the old spike in which you could throw over cars, but I can imagine it's going to be pretty high. Not to mention, too, that this thing also has armor penetration, so hopefully skirt armor isn't going to be as resilient to a weapon like this. But definitely I can see this thing being a very, very beefy boy. Definitely going to be more of a support weapon in a large group of people, because I can imagine this thing, when it's reloading, is definitely going to be very vulnerable to getting any sort of like melee or shot off. But it's interesting to see how that turns out. I just want to see what this thing actually sounds like, though. I imagine this thing is going to sound absolutely beautiful. If this thing doesn't absolutely shake the field when you shoot it, I'm not going to be terribly enthralled. But next thing, we also actually got some pretty bad looking CKs here for the Cyclone. Now, if you can see it right here, the Cyclone usually has that, you know, two-gun look to it that fires alternating shots. But this time, they gave it more of a electric feel to it, giving it more of a railgun appearance. So now, instead of each one being like a little explosion, it's like a flying of like electrical activity and sparks. You even see that little bit in the background. So this thing is going to look absolutely beautiful. More like a Syndicate weapon, to be honest. But the coloration does not really give me Syndicate-esque vibes. It gives me almost somewhat similar to Dawn Children's vibes. But then Angularity comes back again and makes it still feel more like Syndicate. Either way, though, it looks absolutely beautiful. It kind of reminds me back in the days when I would sit there and craft Cyclones all the time, because there were always a decent profit to be made in those. And then beyond that, we have another two CKs here, the Bastion and the Harpy here. Both with a similar style here, going from more of a monotone blue steel look to it. So you get the Harpy cabin here with a nice angled slopes, pipes still visible. Very aggressive looking here. So if you like more of that style, like more of the Syndicate style, definitely could be up in your vibe. Although to be fair, the fact that there's a couple of exhausts up front, or at least what appears to be exhaust, like what you'd see at the end of a car, at the very front of this, doesn't really make much sense, but okay, cool, we'll go with it. So that's pretty much all the new stuff coming in this season that we've seen so far. But I do like the fact that they are putting in a lot more CKs into this. The fact that we already have 3 CKs shown so far for the season is good high hopes. For someone like me, I prefer there to be cosmetic-only, really, seasons. That's why I kind of like the season that we have, or at least pseudo-season we have right now for the 7th year anniversary of Crosshunt, because it doesn't really give us anything too functional, a little bit of resources, and a little bit of cosmetics. That's what I usually prefer. These heavily modified seasons that include a lot of functional parts, weapons, armors, things of that nature, that I'm not a big fan of. So if they can transition more into this CK-oriented one and still maintain good sales, I think they should really go for it. They should absolutely go for it. Not to mention, too, it'll allow the players who are not into this game or who are not into the seasons actually a little bit of like permanent development into this game. or at least the idea of permanent development into this game. But let me know what you guys think about these little CKs, legendary Howitzer. Really, I like them all for the most part. The only thing I would say I'm not terribly enthralled about are the CKs for the Harpy and Bastion. Mostly because I don't use them, but hey, you know, for someone out there. Next thing, looks like we got these little parts here. Previously, I said these were going to be season parts, but no, not actually the case. Red text here actually explicitly states they have nothing to do with the season and battle pass. And the fact that it actually comes with a lot of lore and flavor text suggesting it belongs to a single person, my guess is these are going to be items exclusive for... how should I say? These are probably going to be items exclusively for a pack of some sort. So I'm not sure if the wheel is going to be a CK for already an existing wheel or a new wheel in its entirety. Because for those who don't know, we already have a frontal wheel called the Claw right now that enhances mostly electrical damage, or energy damage, I should say. So I wonder if that's just going to be a CK of the already existing Claw wheel, or if it's going to be some derivative like a special or maybe even higher tier. But my guess is it's either going to be a special or just a CK for the already existing frontal wheel. Beyond that, we also have the CrossBoom Varun, which looks pretty interesting in my opinion. I do like the angular rebarb strapped onto it, and the idea of it being a rapid-firing crossbow that also has a charging mechanic is a pretty bit interesting. Now, if I had to guess, my guess is it's probably going to be similar to these nail guns, the Sumator and the Argument, in the sense that they're going to be those weapons where you can shoot it once for decently fast projectiles that stick into a target and deal a little bit of damage, or you can charge it up to do a massive heap and sum of damage. The only downside I would find with a rapid-fire crossbow like this is that when it has a charging mechanic but also the ability to fire fast, if you just wanted to sit there and fire fast, you have to sit here and spam left-click the entire time, as opposed to just holding it down and it just automatically firing at its fastest rate. So I'd like to see somehow an alternate fire mode where you could switch between this charge mode and switch between the just continuous fire. Or if there's like some way to modify your left click, like if you did a control left click, it just did continuous fire, but regular left click just did full throttle fire. But that's just kind of my thoughts about this. I do like the idea of this, but there's also kind of an interesting flavor text where it says the charging mechanic, the tension gradually loosens, which is a bit interesting because loosening tension implies that it's going to go slower with less energy and do less damage overall. So is the perk of this actually to not incentivize you to charge? I'm not quite sure what it actually means in that regard, but that's why I'm thinking it's more going to be like the Simulator and the Argument, in the sense that they're going to be able to do that huge at the very start. You know what I mean? You know what I mean. And then beyond that, we also have a nice, lovely looking map here, or maybe it's just like the backdrop for an event of some type of deal. But you can see some ramps in the background, as well as an arena-style situation here. So we're going to be dealing with a type of deathmatch situation in which you're in an arena fighting with each other, or you're going to be more dealing with like monster truck rally or racing mechanics. It's hard to really say when it comes to this, because it could either be either one for the most part. Although to be fair, racing in this game is not nearly as popular as the developers would probably like it. Not to mention that I'm not sure if making an imitation to Rocket League is going to help necessarily. But an interesting, nice little map here. Definitely going to be a similar setting to what we've seen before. Almost kind of looks like something you would see in your garage, to be honest. But you still have that nice city backdrop as well. So pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. Be interesting to see what mode or map that's going to be paired with. Like if it's going to be similar to that of the Sand Dusk map or whatever it was called, where it's a Texas-themed town out in the middle of nowhere. I wonder if that's going to be one of these event-only maps, or if it's going to be a map they're eventually going to incorporate into the larger kind of like ethos of this game. Because honestly, this game hasn't had a lot of like permanent development done to it in many years. We've had a lot of seasons, we've had a lot of like temporary modes, we've had a lot of maps introduced, but nothing has stuck around, which is kind of the big issue that I find with this game. A lot more things need to stick around in order for this game to feel like it's not just dead. But that's just me. What are your thoughts about these? I'm guessing probably brand new pack parts as well, so go ahead and leave your comments down below. But I think that's going to be everything for these days today. We got a nice little dev vlog here and a nice little announcement, so I'll let you guys go. So well, thank you all for joining me this evening. If you've enjoyed what you've seen, go ahead, follow down below. We got Twitter, Discord, and Twitch. If you like whatever platform is your favorite. Other than that, guys, I want to thank you all again. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.